By March 1993, the border between India and Pakistan had become a high-pressure environment. On a single night that month, a train crossed from one side to the other, carrying a passenger whose presence would test the limits of the country's security. Inside a crowded general coach sat 22-year-old Faizan. He was trembling, clutching a heavy black bag. His movement illustrates the Swiss cheese model of security. In this framework, every defensive layer, from border guards to police, has holes. A threat only reaches its target when the gaps in every single slice of cheese align perfectly. The first layer of defense was passenger intuition. Sunita Devi, a 50-year-old woman sitting directly across from Faizan, watched him for hours. She saw the physical tells, the white-knuckled grip on the bag, the sweat on his forehead, and the way his eyes darted around as they crossed the border into India. Sunita Devi even offered him water, sensing his distress, but he refused. However, a passenger's suspicion is rarely enough to halt a journey. Without a clear signal for help or visible evidence of a crime, Faizan was able to move past this first informal checkpoint. The second layer was formal authority. Late into the night, the train's ticket examiner entered the coach to conduct a routine document check. The TTE noticed Faizan's inconsistent behavior. When questioned about the heavy bag, Faizan claimed he was a laborer carrying books and tools, but his trembling voice suggested otherwise. Even with years of experience, the TTE faced a limitation. Without a specific protocol to search passengers based on nervousness alone, he signed the ticket and moved on. The formal system defaulted to its routine, allowing Faizan to proceed. The next day, the train arrived at Hyderabad station. Faizan stepped into the crowd, made a quick call to his handlers to confirm he was in position, and blended into the city. With both passive and formal layers bypassed, the city's most recognizable landmark was now directly in the path of the operative. Faizan reached the Charminar and identified a blind spot near one of the primary pillars. In a space crowded with tourists and selfie takers, he deposited his bag in a dark crevice and covered it with a cloth. Inside the bag, he set the digital timer for 1:15 p.m. This action set a 50-minute countdown in motion. The threat was no longer abstract. It was now a fixed point in time. Faizan moved to a nearby food stall to watch. From his perspective, the plan was following its logical course toward detonation. However, 3 college friends, Salim, Rakesh, and Suraj, were taking photos nearby. As they reviewed their shots, they noticed a small blinking red light emitting from beneath the cloth Faizan had left behind. The operative had calculated for civilian oversight, but he had not accounted for the curiosity of 3 people who decided to investigate a small visual discrepancy. When the friends pulled back the cloth, they found the timer and the wiring. The threat was now fully visible. The group's reaction was split. While Suraj fled the scene to find safety, Salim and Rakesh stayed. They looked at the families around them and decided that leaving would ensure the casualties of everyone else in the vicinity. Salim called the police control room. Inspector Ranjit Singh mobilized his team immediately, and within 5 minutes, sirens are audible across the Charminar Plaza as the bomb squad arrived. A bomb disposal expert named Akram knelt by the device with only 60 seconds remaining on the clock. The police had cleared the immediate area, but the stability of the entire structure was at stake. Akram identified 2 main wires, blue and green. He cut the blue wire, and the timer froze at exactly 10 seconds. The countdown was stopped not by a failure in the technology, but by the intervention of a technician and 2 civilians who stayed on site. From his vantage point, Faizan watched as the expected explosion failed to occur. The crowd wasn't running from a blast. They were watching the police secure the area. As Faizan tried to leave, an auto rickshaw driver nearby recognized him. The driver had remembered Faizan's nervous behavior from the ride earlier that day, specifically the unusually large tip he had used to try and speed up his arrival. The driver signaled to the police perimeter. Because of that specific identification, Faizan was apprehended before he could exit the plaza. In the aftermath, Salim explained his choice to Inspector Singh. He stated that since he lived in the city, protecting it was his responsibility. The plot failed because the layers of the Swiss cheese did not align. The operative moved past the formal checks, but he was ultimately stopped by the individual choices of a passenger, a driver, and the 3 people who chose to look closer.